Welcome to the Otafest podcast. This is Angelo, and we've got...
I'm Jay.
I'm not Jay. I'm Nancy.
And I don't know, I'm tripping over my tongue.
Most people aren't Jay.
Most people... Wait,
Thank goodness.
I'm not Jay either. Am I most people then?
Yes, you are all people. You should vote.
Nice. I will. Along
Perfect.
with that, this is a reminder to check out Otafest Pocket, Rainbowed Cardboard Gundam Edition, our first live event of the year. In support of Calgary Pride and Alberta Culture Days, join us for an afternoon of fun as we fashion giant robot cosplays out of nothing but cardboard, hot glue, duct tape, and hopes and dreams. This event is by donation. A donation box will be at the door, but otherwise it's free to attend. Masks and other social distancing measures will be followed. For additional details, check out facebook.com/Otafest and click on the events button. See you September 5th.
Hooray!
Yes.
Nice.
As we mentioned last episode, it's a little bit weird to have our first real event this late in the year, but it's nice to be partnering up with Calgary Pride and kind of get things rolling, and it'll be fun.
If I
Hope to see
remember
everybody
correctly,
there.
we didn't say it here, but I believe attendance is capped at 49 people.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're trying to, so the official attendance will be capped at 49 people. If more than 49 people show up, they just won't be able to participate because we're trying to maintain social distancing.
Of course.
But as we'll be down at the TCC area, and there is still Stephen Avenue and Canada Olympic Plaza, people can still feel free to hang out. It's just, and for the purposes of the actual event, we're just doing the building inside, which makes sense. But we're actually hoping to then leave the initial area and start walking, maybe down like Stephen Ave, grab some ice cream or something in the area
Oh.
nearby. So for the general purpose of the event, aside from the building, please do come.
Awesome.
I hope that makes sense.
So numbers be damned. Be there.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really just about the building, and nobody said you can't build something at home and like a cosplayer would and come.
Oh, if you've
around
got
with
a load
something
of
like
cardboard at home, duct tape yourself up into a robot and spam the Otafest Facebook with it. Absolutely.
that, hell yeah, that
Yeah.
would be great.
Like, you don't even have to wait. You can do that right now.
Start practicing. Become a cardboard smith.
Just wait
that none
40 or
have ever
50 minutes
seen.
until the podcast is over. Or listen to
Yes.
the podcast while you do it.
That too. We can give you ideas. My favorite ones. So when you were talking about it last time, when we sort of hosted that panel,
Iron cosplay.
2015 maybe 2014.
Something like that.
Sounds like. Yeah. My favorite prop that I've ever seen in Cardboard Gundam was someone making chest cannons.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Someone actually
Yeah.
made like Gundam Heavy
Like a
Arms
chest Gatling.
from Gundam Wing. He had Gatling
Yeah.
guns in his chest, I believe.
Wow.
And someone
Like it's
made
always
those as giant cardboard just boob guns. It was
yeah,
fantastic.
because
I
like
forgot about that until
I don't
just
want
now.
to I don't want to shit on anyone's creativity by any means, but we tend to see things like wings and like an arm mounted weapon of some sort, and usually or like a
shield
sword or something
sword.
like that. But honestly, like the chest cannons were extremely creative. Kind of comes back to sort of like solid robot anime
Absolutely.
design. Yeah, and it was just to see it sort of come out in cardboard form was just hilarious.
Oh
and,
my
and
god, I forgot about
privilege.
that. And it's just
an
the memories
absolute
are flooding
privilege.
back to me. I remember you sat on Bayfar's shoulders.
No, it was
for
the
like-
other way around.
It was the other
I
way
think.
around for like a gatai moment, and that was fucking great. That was
Hell
amazing.
yeah.
Oh,
Back when I was young and I could gatai at will.
I need someone to make a mech version of like the Madonna with the cone boobs. Like the early 90s Madonna. I need someone to
Oh.
turn that into like a mech design.
I guarantee
like-
you it exists.
Nancy, you could be the one doing it.
I
Why
could
not
be
come
the
on
one
down?
doing it.
Like, as a mech
Or-
design, it exists. It's just a matter of bringing it to life in cardboard form.
This is true.
Exactly.
This is very true. Or
Yeah.
extra internet points for someone who can bring this to life and send us pictures, because that just, I'm seeing it in my head right now and I'm just like, this would be amazing. I wish I was a lot better at making stuff.
There's nothing like doing it yourself. If you want it to be done, you gotta do it yourself.
True facts. That's why I learned
Nancy,
how to
come
draw.
on down.
Let me figure out my sewing machine without making the needles explode first.
Okay. No
The sewing
exploding
machine
needles.
has nothing to do with cardboard.
I have
sew
now
cardboard.
until September 5th. I will work on it.
Can you sew cardboard?
Yeah.
Oh, you
absolutely.
sure can. You can stitch cardboard, for sure.
I guess that makes sense, but
I mean, that's how books
I
do
would
it.
assume you'd want like a thicker thread.
Yeah, you wouldn't
I
want
actually don't know.
thread. You would want something
Yeah.
closer to like fishing line.
Could you use like
probably.
whatever leatherworking sort of uses?
Oh yeah.
I suppose you could. I don't know how bookbinding works.
Me neither.
So the members
not
of
get
the
into
audience
that
who
too
know how
deep.
bookbinding works, make a Gundam out of books.
Oh, that would be heavy. So heavy.
Hardcover books.
Hardcover
You're like,
books
I am
specifically.
invincible.
Yes.
I am invincible.
Yes.
I am the library god.
Oh, I was gonna relate a really silly thing, but I guess it's not super relevant. I just had a professor back in the day who used to point out that our books were literally, like the pages in our textbooks in university were all coated in something that was chemically similar to clay. So we were basically carrying around giant rocks with us everywhere.
Nice.
Anyway.
Proper tablets.
Yes. Proper, like, tomes.
All you need is some cuneiform on there.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, sorry.
What was it? Babylonian or Sumerian form of writing?
Oh,
first
yes,
alphabet.
that is what it is. I was like, it sounds familiar. I just couldn't place it.
Yeah.
But yes,
I think you're right. I think it's Sumerian.
Yeah. Speaking of Sumerian, which is like the weirdest segue I've ever done.
Is it though?
Yes, even for the podcast it is. I don't know if everyone else does this. I have a feeling that most people don't, but I tend to Wikipedia like a bunch of crap. Like I just have a general curiosity or drive for knowledge that has nothing to do with like an actual field that I'm interested in.
I haven't done that.
So I have
in
looked
years.
up like cuneiform writing, and I have looked up like Sumerian legends, and I have looked up sort of literature from like the Babylonian age, and things like Gilgamesh, and I don't know, like I'm not a history buff by any means either. When I find something that like has potential interest in terms of like just pure rote trivial knowledge, I will pursue it for like, I don't know, at least a good half hour, if not more, depending on how interesting it actually ends up
So
being.
I do this. I have Wikipedia installed on my phone, and I'm just like, I have 38 tabs open recently.
Yes.
I will.
So
pull...
I don't do that. I don't keep a bunch of tabs open though. But I will tell you that anytime I look into my Wikipedia search history, it is a mess.
Well, okay, it's not because I've
topics.
kept the tabs open for a reason. It's because I just don't remember to close them. So this effectively serves as like a recent history of things I've looked at. But to pull some really weird examples, Sol Invictus is here. Frederick III, the Holy Roman Emperor, the Iron Crown of Lombardy. Studio Trigger. I guess I looked up some Studio Trigger stuff a while ago.
Trigger.
Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. I was looking that up. I looked up some stuff on The Expanse. Catherine the Great. There we go. Impressionism. Yeah, and this is just... Oh, and contact lenses. Base curve radius.
Now that I think about it, my personal use of Wikipedia has changed drastically. Back when I was in high school and college, I would just read Wikipedia for the hell of it, just for the entertainment value. Right. Now I almost exclusively read Wikipedia to remember character names or to refresh myself on facts for internet arguments.
That's hilarious. Internet arguments.
First of all,
what was that name of that character in that one game?
You should append that. Internet arguments and for podcast.
Okay, can I tell you what? Can I just tell you? So
what do you take me for?
What my Wikipedia history is off of my phone app?
Yes, please.
Real quick here. So I will just go back to the beginning of No, I don't want to say to the beginning of August. That's too many things. Let's say to the beginning of this week, which was the last one I had was like August 13th as the beginning. So I searched up carbonara, as in like the pasta, persistence hunting, dextroamphetamine, which is like Dexedrine, which is like ADHD medicine.
Okay.
The knot as a type of nautical unit of distance.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's what, 8 miles
The
or something?
1972 Great Daylight Fireball,
What the fuck?
which was a meteor.
Ah.
Yeah. I also looked up the NVIDIA Titan series because I was doing some research on my upcoming graphics card.
All right.
Roundabout, which is the song at the
Yes.
end of JoJo.
Yes.
International Left-Handers Day
What?
is a thing.
Wow.
I looked that up too. Yep.
The
Okay.
left-handed have
And those
gone
are-
too
and-
far.
and-
They must be
Yeah,
stopped.
and that's only maybe about 12 topics, I think, maybe, or maybe 10 topics, and that's what I've searched up this week. And it's all over the place, going, like, if I go way back, like, there's so much shit.
For what it's worth, that was only stuff that was on my phone. If you went into my actual laptop that I use every day, there's even more stuff in there.
Is there an easy way to check your Wikipedia search history?
I don't know for the, like, web browser version, but on the phone app version, it absolutely keeps a good history, which is great. I actually like looking back at my history, not necessarily to revisit articles even. I just like seeing what I've looked into.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Thank
really
God for the
interesting.
internet because, yeah, otherwise I'd just be spending my time at a library, which I like libraries, but I don't have to do that. I don't have to go to a library to look up things. I can just look at my palm, essentially.
Yeah.
It is really interesting to think about how much a smartphone provides us versus what it was like when we had dumb phones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of phones real quick, I'm getting a new one.
Nice. What are you
Ooh.
getting?
Well, my phone right now is a fairly old phone. I think it's about 5 years now.
Okay.
It's not a bad phone. I still actually like it, but it's the Pixel XL.
Oh, all right.
Very good phone.
And I've been an Android user for quite a while at this point. I like Android phones, but I don't like most of the other Android phones because they tend to come with bloatware
Yes.
Yeah.
apps.
Specific
that I end up-
manufacturers have it worse, but yeah, you're right.
Samsung.
I'm not going to name names.
Sorry, I just had something in my throat.
Oh, well, bless you.
But yeah, basically, I really do like the Pixel designs. Generally speaking, they have good hardware and they're very streamlined. And of course, being first person hardware pairing with first party hardware and software is really nice. So I'm getting the 4A, which
Nice.
is coming out real quick, which is sort of like a light version.
Of the
It's
Pixel
their
phone.
middle of the
sort
road.
flagship model.
Yeah, it's their middle of
Yeah.
the road phone, and that's
Because I don't need a crazy phone. Like it still has good camera, great battery,
superior software.
screen. Yeah, I don't really ask for very much. But the number one reason why I'm sticking with the Pixel line versus any other Android smartphone is because of the fingerprint sensor.
Oh.
Ah. The Pixel 4a still has
if
it
it-
on the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Pixel's the only one that I know of that puts it on the back, sort of in the back upper
Yeah.
third middle, because it's honestly, when I first got the Pixel XL, I was just like, oh, that's really weird. But you notice immediately how ergonomically positioned it is. So when you reach into your bag or your pocket and you're about to pull up your phone to unlock it, you literally will put your finger in that slot, unlock it immediately as you're looking to use the phone.
My phone,
And it's just one of my
I
favorite
felt
things.
that way about it too. But with that one, it has the fingerprint sensor on the side, literally integrated into the power button. And I have the same thing to say. It feels good. Like I would normally be going to press the power button whenever I want to use the phone. And because it's right there, it's literally good enough that it will read my finger immediately after I press the button and unlock.
And honestly, like it makes so much sense. Like I think Samsung's phones still use like either face detection, which I don't really love in the first place,
No, I hate it.
or the fingerprint sensor is on the bottom of the front of the phone,
On
which is
the home button
like
when they have it.
well, there's no more home buttons. It's just screen, right?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
sort of in that general area, it doesn't really make a lot of sense when you think about it. It's not a great position for it.
Yeah, and it's also a trained thing, right? Like if that's where it is and people, find themselves using it and then they realize this is like a natural, like there's a bit of
I used to have the
it's a good
Galaxy
design,
S7,
but it's also a little bit of training your audience to use it properly.
it had it integrated into the home button. And you could use either the power button or the home button to wake up the phone. So it was
Yes.
the exact same thing. No matter if I put my hand in my pocket, my thumb reaches for the home button, and by the time that I'm actually looking at it, it's already unlocked. So,
but I do feel like there's just better positioning for it in general.
Yeah.
No,
other than the home
you're
button, for sure.
absolutely right. Like I actually miss having a tactile fingerprint
fucking
sensor
love
that I could
buttons.
actually feel.
What do you use, Nancy?
I have a Oneplus 60,
Nice.
and
Okay.
it's a great phone. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the like almost full screen phones that I actually like.
Right.
The
like
camera is not
the bezel-less design sort of thing, right?
It is fairly bezel-less.
Yeah.
But
Was
the
the
thing I
60
like
the
the
one
most
Honestly, pretty
that
good
had
considering
the
2 years ago we weren't quite there yet,
fingerprint
right?
under the screen?
Yeah. So yes, this one has a fingerprint sensor under the screen. So if
Hmm.
you don't know exactly where it is with the visual indicator, you won't be able to get it. And that's why I say I miss having a fingerprint sensor that I can tactilely feel. Like you feel the difference
Right.
between the fingerprint sensor and the rest of the screen.
And like, I mean, everyone gets their fingerprints all over their screen. That's not really something that's an argument, but I do think it's weird that sometimes you'll just have like, for example, a thumb-shaped print that's like perfect, that just squishes down on the screen as opposed to like just regular scrolling type of smearage, you know?
So, side thing. I have been known to be abnormally dry-handed. I don't leave a lot of fingerprints behind. I've been told I would make a fantastic thief. That's exactly what people say. They're like, "Oh, you'd make a great cat thief or something." But even so, I will still leave little marks on my phone, and that's still not enough for me to know exactly where it is when I'm just not looking at it.
Oh,
So
no.
I've actually just stopped using the fingerprint sensor on my phone for that reason.
Do you just use a key on or a pass unlock or something, a pin unlock?
I have a fairly long pin for my phone unlock.
Oh no.
But yeah, like the actual side effect here is that I've stopped using the fingerprint sensor.
If I didn't have the fingerprint sensor,
which is sort of like
would not use security at all.
Yeah. I don't know if I can agree with that specifically, but I would say that it's sort of a shame that you're not using the fingerprint sensor, not because of any specific security related issue, but because they make you pay for it. It's part of the
hardware.
The hardware, and it's a selling point that whether it uses face detection or a fingerprint sensor, it's like one of the two options right now, aside from a pin. So it's sort of like you're gonna have to pay for it whether you use it or not. You know.
No, that's true.
So
like it's a piece
like
of hardware.
It's probably not. Yeah, it's probably not like more than like $50 of the cost or whatever, marketing wise, but it is sort of like a.
You know what the
screw
worst?
you if you don't use it.
Well, the worst thing is that this fingerprint sensor, despite the fact that it's in the screen, it's really fast and it's quite accurate.
Oh yeah.
That's not the problem. That is not the problem. The problem is I can't feel it.
Yeah.
And going, I kind of want to get off of this topic soon, but just as a final bit to it, I remember when the Samsung, I think S10 or the Note 10 was coming out, and they were like, we have bezel-less screen, very nice, great display. But it's the fingerprint sensor is going to be on the front, and people were like, okay, like how's it going to do the sensors? Like this is how it's going to do the sensor. What happens if you put a screen protector on it?
Ooh.
It doesn't do the sensing. You have to buy a very specific type of, like for instance, glass screen protector.
Oh,
for
like
it to
a
work.
tempered glass protector.
Yeah, and it was like I think sort of expensive too because again it was sort of a specialty item, or else
Mm.
again it would not detect. And I don't know anyone in their right mind who wouldn't have a screen protector of any kind. And then for it to take away your $1,200 at the phone at the time phone price because you slapped on a $20 protection onto your screen is like ridiculous,
That
right?
is very ridiculous.
Yeah.
That makes me extra grateful that my phone literally came with a pre-applied screen protector, and I have not had
Oh,
to replace
nice.
it.
Yeah, I've heard actually really good things about OnePlus as a company. I just haven't really gotten my hands on one of their phones yet.
So Sean is actually also considering, like, his phone is getting to a point where the battery life isn't where it needs to be, and he's also
Right.
making the same consideration that you are. And
Hmm.
it's a pretty even split between the 4A and getting a Nord. Nord is OnePlus's new
Yes.
foray into
Yeah.
also the same tier. It's like a mid-tier phone. It's
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
good, but it's not like, they take out some of
Wasn't
those
that
more
one not
high-end
getting
things.
launched in North America?
Yes, so currently it is only launched in India, which is
Yeah.
okay.
I was under the impression
It's
it
called
My
the
wasn't coming
Nord.
to
Let's launch it
North
in
America at
India.
all.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was pretty funny too, Angelo. But recently we found out that the Nord comes pre-installed with Facebook services and Netflix, and it is impossible to remove them. So that
Oh
really quickly removed the
no.
Nord from the list of competitors, which
I
Oh
didn't know
literally
about that.
leaves
no.
the 4A. That's it.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of blind to looking around too much for other phones, because I knew that I liked the feature, the predominant feature on the Pixel, and I was willing to like even looking at it now, it's not I have no problem with it because I knew it's gonna be streamlined, it's gonna have these kind of preset features and stuff. The only difference is like if Sean is, I don't think Sean's super into having like a flagship phone, but I know that the 5 is coming out really soon as well. So if he's okay with a more expensive phone or a slightly, because I assume Sean has bigger hands
He
because he's
does.
a taller dude.
He is very
So
tall.
there's yeah, like the what do you call it? The 4A is about the size of a Pixel XL, maybe a little bit bigger,
No, that's fine.
but there's also a 4A uh, 5G, which it's not about the 5G, but it's about maybe $150 more expensive. However, it is also going to be a larger phone, so that might be more comfortable
Oh
for
my
him to
god, that's
use.
insane.
What?
The one thing holding me back from like pre-ordering the 4A immediately was the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
Screen wise, it's the exact same size as like my Razer phone. It's like 6 inch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
even though the phone is physically smaller, uh, I want a smaller screen even. I want to go back to a smaller phone. Uh,
Yeah,
Ah,
I can understand that.
like
that's
a
interesting.
couple weeks ago, I pulled out my old Z3 Compact just to see if I could still use
Oh,
it because I
wow.
like the size of it.
Yeah.
And it
Nice.
just doesn't keep up with what I want to do anymore. But it's the
Uh-huh.
perfect
Right.
size. It's like
Mm.
5.7 inch instead
Yeah.
of like
Hmm.
6 inch. And that doesn't sound like
Yeah.
much,
Hmm.
but it's a huge deal.
Yeah. And I
It
remember, I
is.
think my Galaxy, my Samsung Galaxy, like just the
That was like a
original Galaxy
yeah.
S, I
Uh-huh.
think that was like 4.8
Yeah, it was a
inches.
4.9-inch screen or something, and it had like the
Yeah.
top and bottom bezels too.
Yeah.
Like I
We've come a long
I
way, but
I
size
feel
is
like
ever
phones have
increasing.
regressed for the sake of aesthetics. I hate
Mm.
having a bezel-less
Absolutely.
phone because it means that my huge meaty claws, the overlap at the side of them will be registered as touch input.
Which I believe you did the other day when you butt dialed me.
Yes, actually. That's exactly what happened. My big meaty claws, when trying to reach over to the hamburger menu in Discord, hit the call button instead.
Yeah.
Yes,
Angela would never
nothing.
call you on purpose,
No,
Nancy.
he would never call me on purpose unless it was for this.
Uh, ah,
But
but
yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm tired of is the rounded corners on my screen. I kind of miss having corners on my screens.
Yeah.
Like full corners.
Oh, like the rounded edges?
Yeah.
What
At
happened to
first it
having
was
like a
really
real
Yeah.
cool.
aspect ratio on my phone?
Yes. They're
Yes.
also their aspect ratios are really weird.
Yeah,
But
they're weird.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's sort of that
I
conversation
used to
where
sell cell
it
phones for a
evolves.
living, so I could rant for a long time about cell phones. I've been
Oh, I
holding
bet you
myself
could.
back.
Can I actually, did we not talk about God, okay, we're never getting off this, but it's fine. Um I think I mentioned like Shaw's new offering recently, right?
Yes, I
Did I
believe
mention
so.
that in a podcast?
Yeah, I think we talked
I
about
know
Shaw.
we've. Yeah.
Right. Like really quick. So the other day, as in 2 days ago, I received an email from Freedom, which is owned by Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And like Shaw's offering like a cheap mobile deal because they have like if you have their internet deal, then you can get their cheap mobile deal, which is honestly not too bad if you are a Shaw customer. And again, 2 days ago, I got an email from Freedom going, "We are now offering home internet service."
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
"What a surprise!"
And I'm
Like,
surprised that they sent out an email 2 days ago because that's been the news for a while.
Like, chances are on the back end, everything is the exact same. So
Oh,
the
absolutely.
only overhead is on branding, I guess. But
And marketing, I guess.
But why?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm.
And to be honest, if you went with a deal with Shaw, it wouldn't have been worth it. So remember that they offered me half my speeds at $40 more a month. That
Yeah.
$40
Because it's a privilege to work with them.
That $40 is basically a cell phone bill right there. And the deal that they had was, oh, it's $0 for you to have a mobile number through us, and then you get access to our Wi-Fi. And it's like, okay, but if I want data, but that's you have to pay for that separately. It's like, okay, so you're basically giving me free cellular service, but I'm paying out the nose for my internet at home.
Yeah.
And what it is, the truth of it is that it's the old cable and home phone line hookup deal that they used to do when people still wanted
Home
a physical landline.
They'll still do that for you. That hasn't died.
Yeah, they will. They will, but like it's fewer and fewer people. So like, what else can we offer? What else can we offer? It's like, well, I've heard that people are using these newfangled things called cell phones. What if we offered internet and a cell phone line instead? That's what it really feels like, you know?
Yeah.
And the way that they do any of the quote unquote deals that they're offering are simply based off of that old model. And it has to be tied together. You can't just have cheap internet, or you can't just have cheap home line or cell phone bill. It has to be both.
Speaking of deals on an old model, I heard Nancy was getting a 3D printer.
Oh boy, yes.
First of all, what kind of 3D printer is it?
Is it an old model for a good deal?
It is. No, it's not.
I was just trying to segue away.
I was actually.
Cell phones anymore.
I thought you were gonna start talking about your car project, but
no.
It is.
That was a good deal for a very old model.
Brand new 3D printer.
Nice.
Gasp.
And it is one of the more currently coveted ones because it has auto bed leveling, which is something that if you don't play around with 3D printers a lot, most of them require you to do it yourself. So there's a bunch of like manual test printing you have to do. You have to make sure that it's level yourself.
Right.
And
I was gonna make a really shitty joke about automatic bed leveling and be like, it comes with a memory foam mattress.
Oh.
Is it like a Delta 3D printer where it has like the 3 arms and then it like goes doop, or is it like one of the ones that has like the 2 big rails and then the horizontal rail that the extrusion head goes on?
Yes, it's one of those.
It's one of those
this one's yes, and the interesting
thing. That means
it's
a filament printer.
It is a filament printer. It is not a resin printer.
Right.
I think I've had a rant about this before. Resin's a lot of fun if it's something that you don't have to deal with yourself. So if I were to have like a resin workshop, I would rent the workshop somewhere else. I would store the resin there. I would have like a completely separate You
would outsource your resin?
I would completely outsource the resin, and then I'd have to go and work with it. I'd have a completely different set of clothes that I change into in that workshop, blah 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 blah. There's so many things. It would have to be well ventilated.
Resin
it would have
nasty.
It's not good for you. It's not good for your lungs. It's not good for your skin. It's just, I would work with it if I didn't have to do it in my own home.
So
that is not something that I'm
3D printer for.
So many things. Do you have any idea how many nerdy spaceships we can print?
You know what? Your want for a 3D printer is very similar to my want for a 3D printer then.
Is it because you want to make big anime titty...
I just want to make my own anime figures. That's exactly what I would want.
I want to see you
Yeah.
in a CAD program designing the big TIDs.
Jesus Christ. It could never
Anyway,
happen.
I'm not
because
sure I'm
every
allowed to
single
say that.
time- Every single time
It's okay.
I try to wrap my head around any kind of 3D software like Blender or something,
Yeah.
it just
Mhm.
melts my brain and I can never get anywhere. Like I'm
It's
literally
hard.
stuck to 2D art. I cannot into 3D.
I mean,
I think
it's a
you should
weird
take-
mindset
you-
shift.
I would basically be
I think
downloading
it's-
Miku
like,
Miku
you
dance models, learning to pose them, and then just printing that. I don't know.
Use one of those like online learning services that sort of do a
Sponsored
bunch
by
of tutorials.
Skillshare.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah,
not sponsored by
Skillshare or
Skillshare.
whatever. Because, like, I would say that it's one of those things where it's not so easy to self-teach. So, but I mean, it's
There's
like I
so
think you do have
many
a vested
different tutorials
interest
for
in
Blender, though.
developing that sort of skill set for yourself. I would like Skillshare is not a sponsor for us, but I'm just saying that like from what I hear, it's actually fairly useful for something that you wouldn't normally self-teach. Like music, you can self-teach. Instruments, you can self-teach, for example.
So in the
But
case of
so
Blender
to a certain
specifically,
skill level, you would want to learn.
I have tried
with a
many
tutorial.
times to get into learning it.
Yeah.
The problem with Blender specifically is that there's so many different hotkeys for everything.
Oh,
That,
really?
oh yeah, absolutely. That by 20 minutes in, I have to start just writing down an entire like sheet, or like make something on my computer, print it out, tape it above my monitor, just so I can look up for all like the different 500 different keybinds.
That reminds me of what it was like to teach people how to use VI. It was like, what key do I do to do this copy paste thing? And then, like,
All
I
I know
basically had to
about-
make
All I
a
know
printout
about
of the keyboard
Vim
layout with it.
is
Yeah.
hit I to start putting my text in.
Yes.
Hit escape to get out of insert mode. And
Hit escape
then
if you don't know what you've
colon
done.
WQ. And if it
Mhm.
really doesn't like that, WQ exclamation mark, and then I'm good.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
And if that doesn't
That's
help
all
me,
you
I have
really-
to just exit and then sudo.
Hey Nancy.
Yeah.
So what is going to be the first sort of big project you're going to put your new 3D printer to?
What kind of space if you want?
Okay. There's a variety of truck ships that we'll probably want to print eventually. But first,
Did you
the
say
very, very
Trek
first thing
ships
we
or
want to
truck ships?
Trek.
Okay, because
Star
I was going to ask
Trek.
what a truck ship was. I had no idea.
I have no idea, but I'm thinking of like
Get that
all those.
Enterprise going.
Yeah, get the Enterprise. All of the Enterprises. No, we already have several Enterprises. They're just
Get more.
specific ones that we do want to print.
Okay.
So the very first thing we'll probably do is print a Benchy, because that's the first thing everybody
Benchy.
prints.
Yes.
A Benchy.
I was going to say, I don't
don't know
remember Benchy from Star Trek. What is that? And then I was like, oh wait, Benchy, the little boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Because that's the thing that tells you, is your extruder working properly? Is it at the right temperature?
That thing.
And is everything level?
Right.
For people who might not be 3D printing nerds, Benchy is this little cartoon-looking boat print that you can make that just has a lot of curved surfaces, and it has surfaces that like arch over each other, over a void space. So it just does a lot of complicated things that 3D printers have a lot of trouble with. So when you can print that and make it good, that means your 3D printer is in a good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Benchy is short for benchmark,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
which I think is pretty cute and hilarious.
It's adorable. But like, we're probably gonna have a miniature collection of little Benchies by by the end of, I don't know, the first week of getting it. But after the
May
Benchy,
I have one?
do you want one?
Give me the most awful
don't have
Benchy
one.
that prints.
The awfulest Benchy.
I want the one that like is half spaghetti. Because there's gonna
Okay.
be one that's half spaghetti.
So I'm told.
Give me one.
Yes. What
Yeah.
do you want?
I was like, give me one that that when you look at it, it's like that's the one that Jay should have, which means it's probably a little ugly and misshapen, but that's okay.
So we're trying pretty hard to stick to some of the easier plastics, because things like
Right.
printing in ABS, for example, is a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a very specific temperature you need to have the extruder at. Your plastic formulation actually needs to be very consistent, or bad things will happen. And like, if you're ever curious, go look up 3D printer fails. It's awful.
Oh yeah.
But like if you truly want the benchy that just looks like a wall of spaghetti, I will give that one to you. It'll be very sad looking, and I'll probably have to scrape it off the bed
Actually,
with an actual
give
glass
me
scraper.
the worst failure that's still like a complete object.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want spaghetti. Let's be real.
So
I just want to say that I want spaghetti.
Yeah, when I was looking it up just now, there's one that looks like cheese.
Yeah.
That's been half eaten.
Oh yeah, there are some very big oof moments. But like there's a reason why 3D printing is so finicky. It's because there's too many variables to worry about. Like the plastic that you use is completely out of your control. You can go buy plastic, but there's no guarantee that it's a consistent formula, that it's not going to be really stringy when it melts to like decimal degrees around the target temperature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
when
like
it comes
even
to
outside
3D printing, it's basically imagine all the errors and issues you have with regular printers, and then add a third dimension to it.
Yeah, a third dimension using
errors.
Plastic. It's
you need more toner.
Yeah, you need more toner.
I just posted something into the Discord. It was a model of a benchy, but it has transparent plastic, and I've never seen that before.
It looks like a glass of Coke in benchy form.
It does. It actually looks really cool. Like the color, you can either be like for or against, because it's sort of like a brownish, sort of that Coca-Cola light color. But like it looks really interesting. I've never seen a 3D printer like that. To me, it's always like that blocky sort of.
Yeah. There are a lot of very cool types of plastic now. Like there are glow-in-the-dark PLAs that you can get now. So like it's that kind of off-white plastic, and then you turn the lights off and they glow.
Oh, I just remembered about a really cool kind of filament.
Oh.
There is there's a electrically conductive filament that you can get, and that way if you have a printer with 2 print heads on it with 2 extruders, you can make a 3D print that includes circuitry right into the print.
Well, that
interesting.
Imagine making like a cosplay prop, and all you have
and you
to
don't
do
have
is
to sew your
LEDs
into it.
All you have to do is plug them into different
that would
positions.
be so
that would
nice.
Be
because
so
LED
It would also
strips...
be cool for like. I just like the idea of sort of completing a circuit using something like that. The idea of like, I don't know, having like you get home and you 3D printed, let's say, this kind of circuit thing that like, let's say you have what do you call it? Key hooks at your door, so you put your keys up, and then the moment that sort of connection is made, then like your hallway light turns on or something like that.
Or even like an RFID chip embedded inside a print would be really cool.
That shouldn't be too hard. That you can do with even like a single head printer.
Yeah, totally.
It's just a matter of like either dropping the thing in at the right time of the print, or just stopping it for a second. Who knows?
So going back to why 3D printing can be so finicky, there are plastics that require an extremely consistent air temperature around it. So you can get an enclosure for your entire printer, and what it does is it keeps like the air moisture and the air temperature really consistent inside where the printing area is. And like you need things like that for when you're realizing that like the plastic's cooling too fast, or like it's very trial and error until you get it right.
Now that I think about it, I can't remember what channel it was, but I watched a YouTube channel where they were having unlimited problems with 3D printing, and it turned out the humidity around where they stored their PLA was too high, so the spools of PLA themselves went bad.
Oof, yeah.
So they basically made like a box with a ton of silica gel at the bottom to just pull the moisture out of the air for the box, and they could just run the filament right to their printer from in there.
So one of the things that I really love about this printer design is that they've removed the part where they have like the giant spool of filament. So there are printers where the spool literally sits on top of the frame, and the head moves around and rocks the frame around, and then you've got this giant weight of filament on top, and it just rocks the whole thing. So they've taken that and they've moved it down to the base, and that's like the biggest improvement outside of the fact that this can auto level itself. Like now your head's not going to be like rocking the whole thing, And like the other really common failure is that your printer isn't doing anything wrong, but the print itself has just somehow detached off the bed. So now the head is literally dragging this thing around with it, and then nothing gets made.
For that, it's a heated bed that you need to mitigate that, right?
Mhm.
Is it a heated bed or just a certain texture of the bed?
Texture is usually the first thing that's easily fixable. So you can have different types of beds that you're printing on. Some people prefer a glass bed because you can just, take an X-Acto knife scraper to this and just like scrape the print off at the end. But it's really...
I've seen some printers like that where it's perfectly smooth and people are like, oh, this is garbage. I'm just going to put painter's tape down every time I want to print something.
Yeah, there's that too. Like it, again, depends very much on your filament, and it depends very much on how you specifically tune your printer.
Okay.
It's like tuning a car.
Whoa.
I
I don't know how to tune
Is it
cars.
like tuning a piano or tune a fish?
I can put a headlight in a car. That's about it.
How many headlights, though?
So in our 88 Camaro, it has 4 main headlights, and 3 of them I replaced today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I had to replace
What kind of
2 of the high beams and 1 of the low beams.
So, because you said that, I already know that this isn't one of those cars where you have to go buy the entire headlight assembly and pop it in.
No, that's exactly what it was. That's why I couldn't just go down to Canadian Tire and get the right thing. So the lens for the headlight was completely cracked. The lamp itself still worked, surprisingly.
Huh.
But I was trying to look around to get the right ones. Now that I know what they actually are, I probably could have got some from Napa instead of ordering them from like a special place. But it's like a big, like 4-inch by like 2.5 or 3-inch glass bulb, and there's like this little wire frame that I have to pull down to get it in. Like there's 4 screws that I have to, 2 of them remove, 2 of them just loosen, pull out this bracket, pull out the big old bulb, and then push the new one in. Other things that I replaced on the Camaro recently was just for the hell of it, the old shifter knob was cracked and just old.
Ew.
It looked like it had like hand cheese in the cracks.
Ew. Oh,
So,
God.
nice.
In the same place that found me the exact headlamps that I needed, because I didn't know what I was looking for, they had a Camaro Z28 shifter knob that I could also special order. I'm like, well, I'm waiting for the headlamps anyways. I want to get a cool-ass shifter knob. So I got that in, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. The other one's going to just turn right off, and then I put the new one on. It looks awesome. And then, so we go out to the Camaro. We try to turn the old knob off, and it's just putting up a fight. It is like, whoa, just giving it all the gorilla grip that I can, and it's just not moving. And so I'm like, okay, hold on. There's probably some trick to it. We probably don't just twist it off. We'll wait for now, go to the place we need to go, and then later on, I'll look it up, and we'll do it. So whatever, we do our shopping. A couple days later on a night shift, I actually look up how to take it off. And you know what it is?
What?
Just fucking give her.
What?
Really, really twist. You have to go full just strength.
Use your true man strength.
I was thinking here that, like, you just, like, went and took a jar opener to it and just, like, ripped it off.
I was considering using, like, some vice grips to hold on to it and give me the leverage.
Oh, my goodness.
But nope, the next time I went to go at it, it was a hotter day. So it was probably, like, 35, 40 degrees inside the car.
Oh.
And I just go to fucking wheel on it. And after about 5 seconds, it finally loosens.
Oh, man.
So then I can just twist it off, put the new one on. I twist it just right so the logo's facing up, and it looks awesome.
Perfect.
Like, you've replaced the, like the shifter knob, you've replaced the headlights, and, I'm sure a few more things. But how original is that Camaro?
Engine is completely original, except for seals.
Okay.
And the ignition coil. And the ignition control module, because I had to replace that a couple weeks ago.
This man is a liar.
And the stereo, now that I think about it. The stereo Terry originally ripped out. And he replaced all the speakers. He put a new sub in, and because
That's
that
fine.
stereo was older, I had to
Mhm.
put on a new one with Bluetooth and auxiliary and stuff. We were
But
thinking
he's
of
like,
replacing the rims, but after I looked it
yeah.
up, the rims that are on it were a special option at the time of purchase. So
Ooh.
those rims are cool old rims. We're keeping those rims.
Well, also, like, you can always get that stuff like refinished
Exactly.
too.
Like,
So
Yeah, like
transmission
it'll
is
cost a
still...
little bit more, but it's
transmission is
kind of
original.
nice to have original.
Transmission, it does have a problem though. The transmission is leaking. We know that it's leaking. Once it
Mm.
dies, we're going to replace it with something better. Same thing with the
Oh.
rear differential. But now that I think about it, if we want to be pricey about it, we'll get like a nice new limited slip diff for it. If we want to be
Ooh.
cheap about it, we can just, once the diff dies, weld it, do some awesome burnouts, have some fun. No diff.
Burnouts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to have a ride in that thing one day.
Yeah,
It's cool.
for sure.
it's cool. We took a ride with Austin the other day, and we shoved him in the back seat, and then we went out to go take some pictures on a bridge. It was great.
Aw.
Oh, nice.
Man,
But yeah,
it's been a while since I
I think
drove
you're the only
stick. I
one of my
miss it.
friends that has sort of a classic vehicle right now.
So
I don't know how many people are car people in our group.
I
anyways, like,
wasn't much of a
specifically.
car person before, but now that we have this
Mhm.
car to toy around with, and for context, it's Dio's her dad's car. He bought it
Mhm.
brand new when he moved to Canada. He took her
Ooh.
home from the hospital when she was born in this car.
Wow.
So it means a lot to her and to the family.
Damn.
So that's
It's the family vehicle,
Yeah.
which is not something that you would say very often about a Camaro or any sort of vehicle in its class.
exactly, because like all things considered, this isn't the coolest Camaro out there when you consider
Eh.
all of the Camaros. But
That's
it was
fine.
basically free to us. We just had to get it running, and
Yeah.
because it's got that sentimental value to it, it's the coolest Camaro that we could have.
That's
What
awesome.
what other Camaro could we buy with an interesting story like that? That is the Camaro of her family. It is the
That's
car of her
awesome.
people.
Uh,
It is the people's car.
I wouldn't go that far.
Ooh. Oh man.
I just don't think Jamaicans have been known for car production.
What? It's not Jamaica, just her family, dude.
Yeah, but you said of her people.
Her people.
Yeah,
goes a
that,
little
that
further
phrase
than
can
family.
be interpreted differently. I could see it.
There's many interpretations of that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, it's still cool.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's
I'm-
the main reason we have it. It's free. We just have to get it running, which it is now. It sounds awesome. It's a good
Awesome.
car.
Mhm.
In fact, we
Mhm.
actually just parked her other car, 2013 Hyundai Elantra, at her dad's house to get it out of the way, so that we can more easily park the Camaro and drive it full time.
How
Mhm.
drivable is it in winter, though?
Not
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
just straight up. Once the snow flies, she's going back to the Hyundai, and this thing
Yeah.
is going to someone to do body work and paint it over the course of the winter.
Aha.
Like that's the big thing I have about cars in Calgary or most of Canada's weather in winter. It's just not like you have a nice car. I don't diss on nice cars or anything, but unless you have the money for like the storage and all the upkeep and stuff like that, you own something that you're only going to use for less than half the year. That's fairly expensive on average, you know.
Having that
Mhm.
said,
So
for the last couple of weeks, I saw classic cars in Kijiji that I wanted. There was a
Mm.
Pontiac
Mhm.
Fiero,
Oh.
and everyone I talked to was like, "Hey, actually, that's sure it's rear-wheel drive, but it's like a mid-engine car. It's actually really well balanced and would be fine in the winter." And I was like, "Damn, do I really want to buy another 1980s car and inherit 35-year-old problems?"
Hmm.
I respectfully did not. I instead spent that money on computer parts.
Mm.
I very recently saw a cream white Trans Am the other day.
Oh
And that was
my.
honestly really sweet.
Very classic.
Did it have the screaming
Well, I don't
chicken
know
on
if
the hood?
that's very class. Is that very classic at
It's
this
a
point?
classic look.
It is.
I guess. I feel like growing up, it was. I think it's an '80s sort of vehicle, right?
Uh huh.
70s and 80s.
But like I feel like 70s, 80s. I remember, but like growing up in the 90s, I still remember seeing quite a few.
Oh yeah.
But they've definitely like died out more over the years.
The thing is,
But it was still really nice to see.
by the time the 80s rolled around, like the 1988 Trans Am and the 1988 Camaro are literally the same car with a different badge.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
To the point where
But it's
many
just
of the parts that I bought for the Camaro were listed as Trans Am parts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that
I'm
until I
learning.
started looking up the parts. And I was like, oh, look at that. They're the same
I
car.
think there's probably more
Never noticed
stuff.
that.
There's probably more parts marketed as Trans Am than Camaro. I would guess.
Most of them were marketed as both.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And when I was telling
But-
Dio about the Pontiac Fiero, she's like, oh my god, you're buying another Pontiac? And I just screamed, well, you have a Pontiac! She's like, no, I don't. It's like, the 88 Camaro is literally just a Pontiac Trans Am. They're the same
There you
car.
go.
Pontiac's died. The brand died.
Oh, yeah, it's
like
a dead
5
brand.
years ago.
And I
Yeah.
mean, my Pontiac,
5 to
my
10 years
fucking
ago.
G5 is not a cool car. It's my car and it's red,
Pontiac-
so I like it. But
Pontiac made some real shit cars.
oh, they
too.
did.
They
did. They made some great cars, but they made a lot of shit cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why they're dead.
Yep.
Anyway, I think we'll have to call this a show, but it was a good show, as usual.
Always.
As expected. Sasuga Otafest podcast.
Sasuga
If you notice anything strange in the next upcoming episodes, including this one,
Blame
in
Jay
terms
for
of
trusting me
production,
and Nancy.
there are no reasons to that.
at
all.
all.
Nothing. You will notice no
No.
issues.
In
It's
fact,
because
it'll
we're
be
starting
ear
to
candy.
rotate some of the production of each episode, so there might be some slight inconsistencies as we come up into some, let's say, learning curves.
You mean improvements.
Learning
Pain.
improvements.
Growth pains. But either way, it should be all good. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
This is Angelo signing out.
Good night.
Take care, guys.